Hello, this is Leela Viss, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm the host of Key Ideas. This podcast empowers piano teachers to unlock the transformative power of music in their students and shift from a mindset of survival to one of revival. Today, I'm setting aside my off-bench activity theme that I committed to in 2022. It'll be back, and shifting focus away from all things pedagogy. Today, I'm addressing the survival mindset I mentioned in my opening tag. It's a mindset that so many people have unfortunately been forced to take on due to unforeseen circumstances. It's a topic that I never thought I'd talk about in public, especially on a podcast, mostly because I really have little authority on the subject. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone because I recently accepted the position as chair of the Independent Music Teacher Forum for the Colorado State Music Teachers Association. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the position either. My job is to write articles on timely topics for independent music teachers such as insurance, business, etc. Over the Christmas break, I had prepared an article to share in the upcoming Colorado State newsletter. And then a winter wildfire destroyed communities just north of Denver in Boulder County. Good friend and piano teacher Amy Watt and her family were evacuated, but thankfully, their home and her studio were untouched by the fire. The president of our local teachers association spoke passionately about being prepared for catastrophes like this and mentioned ways we could help fellow teachers who lost their studios and instruments. These factors and the local TV news broadcasting scenes of neighborhoods in heaps of ashes like a war zone compelled me to ditch my first article and start again. Catastrophic events keep coming, from the destructive wildfires in California and Colorado to Kentucky tornadoes and Tennessee floods. None of us are immune to the fury of planet Earth. I'm sure I speak for you too when I say that our hearts are heavy for any teachers who have lost their studios, their instruments, and their daily teaching routine. We will never know the pain and immensity of your loss. Your loss reminds us that we have little control over what comes our way. Your loss has no quick fixes like technology offered when we were forced to move to online lessons. Your loss has made me ponder that it could be our home and my studio that burst into flames or was steeped in floodwaters or blown to smithereens and scattered across state lines. What would my husband and I have done? Would our insurance be enough to cover gut-wrenching losses? Would our savings be wiped out? It got me curious about my insurance and what kind of policy is the best in the worst of times. That became the title of my article for the association, and it's the one that I share now in this episode. It's in a question and answer format. My answers come from Google searches, Facebook conversations, and chats with colleagues, and meetings with my insurance agent. Wait, before you head to another show because you're not in the mood to hear an insurance pitch, think about it. When is the last time you went to a piano conference or a webinar to learn about insurance? My guess is never. It's the massive elephant in the room that we all conveniently ignore. It's not nearly as interesting as a cool new app or teaching strategy. Us piano teachers wear many hats. We also serve as accountants, bill collectors, accompanists, schedulers. It's likely that business insurance will slide to the bottom of our to-do list. We've faced a micro monster, which could have derailed our 21st century music studios. And yet, look at us. We pivoted. Overnight, Wi-Fi and platforms like Zoom, Skype, and FaceTime saved our livelihoods. Even those who were reluctant to embrace these tools have to admit that technology became a fast friend in those dark days of a worldwide lockdown. From what we've experienced or observed over the last couple of years, it's clear that our livelihoods can turn upside down from a mere spark. Natural disasters, accidents, and unexpected lawsuits, not to mention a global pandemic, happen. It's not if, but when. If we didn't know it before, we know now that the expectations we hold for our future are just that, expectations and not reality. It's good to take steps to protect ourselves for what may come. Before I go on, here's my disclaimer. I am not an insurance agent or expert. I do hope that this episode will spur you on to take action and secure insurance that protects you and your business from unforeseen circumstances. Okay, question number 1. Do I really need insurance for my business? Isn't my home policy enough coverage? Okay, the answer? Not really. Your state may require you to have certain insurance coverage. In Colorado, only workers' compensation insurance is required for business owners who have employees. This coverage is designed to protect you as an employer from lawsuits arising from employees injured on the job and also your employees for accidents or diseases that may occur while on the clock. If you don't have employees, consider a disability insurance policy, also known as paycheck protection. This is designed to pay for your lost income due to injury or sickness. This can ensure that your bills are covered if you are unable to work. I'll speak more about this later. Beyond the required workers' compensation insurance, it's highly recommended that business owners purchase general liability insurance. General liability insurance covers medical bills of someone who is injured in your studio. In addition, it covers costs incurred if you happen to damage someone else's property. A business owner's policy, or BOP, may be your best option because it includes general liability and coverage for your business equipment like computers, iPads, furniture, and instruments. It's important to understand that a homeowner's policy may not cover assets of your business like your piano and computer. A BOP offers you specific protection for your property. Here are some examples. If a student falls on your icy driveway while walking into lessons, general liability covers the medical expenses if you are sued. If you accidentally damage a piano while holding a recital at a venue outside of your studio, the policy covers the cost to repair the damage or replace the instrument. If your computer is stolen or damaged, the policy covers the cost to replace it. If someone accuses you of slander, perhaps they misinterpret something you say on social media platform, the policy covers your legal representation. And a BOP covers the costs of your teaching space if it is damaged in a fire. Insurance does not cover damage from earthquakes or floods. A separate policy is required for these. Question number 2, where do I find insurance to cover my business? Most homeowners insurance companies offer coverage for small businesses. Numerous teachers who participated in a Facebook conversation mentioned how pleased they are with Hiscox. They find their rates to be affordable with excellent customer service. My business policy is through State Farm. I like corresponding with a local agent, and I found my policy to be extremely affordable with significant coverage. Question number 3, how much does business insurance cost? Expect to pay around $10 to $30 a month for a policy. Question number 4, what other types of insurance are recommended for a home studio? The first, professional liability. Because you provide a service and offer professional advice, you may consider professional liability insurance in the event that you make a mistake. Most healthcare professionals secure this type of policy, also known as errors and omissions or malpractice insurance. It's hard to imagine, but a student's family could accuse you of being negligent in your teaching if they felt you did not meet their expectations. Or a company or teacher may claim your logo infringes on their copyrighted image. Professional liability insurance covers your legal costs. Another one to consider is an umbrella policy. An umbrella policy provides relatively inexpensive coverage above and beyond your current policy. It protects you in the case of an unforeseeable event where you or your family member injures someone else or damages their possessions. If the claim exceeds the limits of your current policies, an umbrella policy can cover the difference. Keep in mind, an umbrella policy does not protect your property. Another one to consider, instrument insurance. Homeowners' policies may cover items like jewelry, computers, collectibles, and perhaps your piano, but most insurance companies have exclusions for business property on personal home riders. For example, a company will cover personal equipment like cameras or musical instruments for personal use, but as soon as the equipment is used for business, it no longer qualifies for coverage on the rider and would need to be covered by a business policy. It's recommended that you check with your insurance company if they have riders for equipment to see if the business use is included or excluded. There are a number of insurance companies that insure instruments. Before you secure a plan through them, double check with your present plan. Your instruments may be covered in your business owner's policy. Whatever type of insurance plan you secure for your piano, look for the terms actual cash value versus replacement value. Make sure to request new replacement value so that you can purchase a new piano that is close to the one you previously owned or receive sufficient funds to restore your piano. Actual cash value does not take inflation into account and may not offer enough money for you to purchase a suitable replacement. Another policy to consider is business interruption insurance. If your studio is damaged by an unforeseen event that results in physical loss of your teaching space, business interruption insurance can be added to an existing policy and may cover the cost of renting a new location for a preset period of time. What and how much insurers will cover is based on your financial records, so keep those up to date with platforms like MyMusicStaff or QuickBooks. Question number 5. How do I keep track of what needs to be insured? Smartphones make it easy to document your assets. My agent recommends taking 2 videos. One video that shows your personal household items and another video of your studio and business assets. You may also want to track your music inventory and studio assets on a spreadsheet. Store the videos and documents in a cloud file storage like Google Drive or Dropbox. If you download them to a flash drive, secure it in a safe place that can be accessed easily in case of an emergency. Apps like Sortly and Encircle are designed to help you organize and track inventory of your household and your business. Question number 6. What's the most important thing I need to do now? The answer is talk to your insurance agent and come with questions so that a plan can be tailored to meet your needs. Here are some questions to consider. Do I currently have enough coverage if I suffer a loss that significantly impacts my business? If not, what coverage do I need? Would you recommend an umbrella policy? Is it important for me to carry professional liability insurance? Is my instrument covered under my current policy? Do you cover musical instruments? If my instrument is damaged, is it covered at replacement value or actual cash value? Do you offer business interruption insurance? It's just a sample of some questions. But remember, when your premium renewal is due, use it as a reminder to contact your agent about your coverage and adjust your policy as needed. Now, it didn't feel right ending this episode without contacting friend and fellow piano teacher Tome Lee. In 2018, the Camp Fire, the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California's history, destroyed her home. In a weekly email to subscribers, I shared a GoFundMe link to help her family get back on their feet. It was something I could do, something we could all do. She's been on my mind since working on this article, and so I reached out to Tome Lee to hear how she was and what advice she could give. Tome Lee shares this. I lost musical instruments and books that were at my home, but my studio was in a nearby town. We lived in Paradise, and the studio was in Chico. We were with Travelers Insurance. I highly recommend insureds sit down with their agent. Make sure they are adequately covered. Check that they cover living expenses or a place to rent if you have a fire or other disasters. Check the company's history on paying out claims. What is their process for filing a claim? Take pics and videos of every single thing, even the inside of drawers. Does the insurance company pay for removal of everything after the fire? Removal of twisted metals and appliances after the fire costs thousands of dollars. Does your policy pay for landscaping? Tome Lee warns that insurance companies will definitely hound you for a list of everything in your business or home. They will want to know how long you've had it and will give you garage sale prices. Keep receipts and pics of everything you can. Tome Lee let me know that her sister created an emergency book since the fire. She says it's great to fill out and have this on hand. It's important to have pertinent information accessible. The link to the book is in the show notes. Last summer was awful for Tome Lee and her husband. They nearly lost their new home again from a fire. So they uprooted and moved to Tennessee. They just couldn't keep running from fires. She confessed that setting up a new studio has been a challenge. This is her 4th studio, but she's never faced challenges like she has in Tennessee. The culture is so different here, she admits. I'll figure it out, she says. Thankfully, I still have several online students from my previous location. Tome Lee was not affected by the latest floods in Tennessee. She did say that they hunkered down for a scary tornado in the short 6 months that they've been there. So now they're looking into tornado shelters. Another thing that hits too close to home while writing this article about insurance is our own family's nightmare. Our son Carter lost an arm and almost both legs after being struck by a boat. At the time of the accident, he was 25 and was still on our insurance plan, our health insurance plan, with decent coverage. After some negotiations with our insurance company, we did not have to pay for the emergency surgeries completed by the doctors who happened to be outside of our network. Astronomical hospital bills flooded our mailbox, but were finally capped by our insurance agent. Because the boat driver had an umbrella policy, Carter and our family are not burdened by the enormous costs that come from his severe injuries. Lack of coverage could have left Carter without the care he needs and on the road to bankruptcy. And well, I don't want to even think about that dark place. Memories of Carter's experience made other people come to mind who lost the use of an arm, like 2 upcoming guests who will be featured in Key Ideas episodes. And there's the effervescent Charlene Chelsea, who has joined me on a number of episodes. In a recent accident, she landed on her head and her wrist. Fixators, I call them pot handles that are drilled into the bone, have just been removed from Charlene's wrist. It's not pretty, but she's on the road to recovery. To be honest, I've never thought about coverage if one of my hands is out of commission. As life would have it, yesterday, a choir member came up to me after a rehearsal of Dan Forth's Requiem for the Living. With a grateful smile, he asked what kind of insurance policy I carry on each of my hands. He teasingly suggested at least $1 million for each. He has a point. The Requiem's orchestral reduction is not too ridiculous, but comes with plenty of crazy rhythms, big leaps, and an open score for the choir parts. I've grown accustomed to this reading challenge over the years and actually enjoy it. I'm finding it to be quite tricky to find a sub when I need a break. There are some pianists and organists out there, but not too many in these parts that could step in and play for a rehearsal or services like I do. If I sound like I'm boasting, I'm sorry. I'm not. If you knew my humble beginnings as a sight reader, you'll know that I've come a long way. It is a skill that can be improved. I'll save that for another episode. My conversation with a choir member and Charlene's misfortune got me thinking that I need to add disability insurance, that paycheck protection, to my policy. What needs to be added to your coverage? Your marching orders? Go find your policy. Unfortunately, there is little we can control, and one thing we can count on: change. One thing we can control is our insurance policy. It's on us to prepare and understand our plans and talk with our insurance agents regularly. It may be the ticket out of a survival mindset and into one of revival. Again, my thoughts are with those who suffered loss from fire, flood, accidents, and I hope that your insurance coverage is supporting you as you get back on your feet. Remember, I am not an insurance agent or expert, just someone who tends to ignore important things like insurance policies and figuring that there may be a few of you out there just like me. Before I sign off, 2 things. Head to the show notes for a link to my latest blog called Repertoire Keepers and how to improvise with them. And you'll find a free download of all the current hits in my studio, plus a resource called I-88. Improvisation 88 ignites improvisation for even the most timid players. And secondly, there's still some spots left in the April Composium. I got this note from a member of the February Composium. I had hoped to learn how to better teach composing, how to effectively use notation software, and to observe a more advanced teacher in action. It's been fun checking those boxes each week. I highly recommend the Composium and just did to a friend. What a sweet note. If you have a desire to check similar boxes, it would be great to see you at the Composium in April. Links to both the blog and the Composium are in the show notes at lilavis.com. See you in the trenches with an appointment with my insurance agent on the calendar.